Hurlburt Field near Elgin Air Force Base. Josh Elliott leads our live coverage from the Heat's training camp. Josh, what do you got for us?
Brian, thanks much. Again, we are here at Hurlburt Field. We've been here all week covering the Miami Heat as they decamped from Miami, came some 600 miles to the north and the west to prepare for the most anticipated NBA regular season in memory, joined by Jalen Rose. And Jalen, of course, talk has been mostly basketball on the week and the circus atmosphere that has surrounded this team really from the initial announcement that LeBron James and Chris Bosh would be joining Dwayne Wade in Miami in search of an NBA title. It was a decision, though, that was met with a whole lot of backlash, as, of course, we heard from parts of Ohio and parts across the country. They were not happy with the way LeBron James, in part, handled the announcement of the decision. It ran as a special on our network, and the resulting backlash was something that LeBron James has discussed very publicly as hurting him, hurting his family, and really galvanizing him as he takes a look now at the Heat make title run. And now news today that he has, well, broadened his view of that backlash. In an interview earlier this week with CNN Soledad O'Brien, LeBron was asked, and I do quote, "Do you think there's a role that race plays in this?" And this was James's answer. "I think so at times. It's always, you know, a race factor." In this interview, he was flanked by his manager, Maverick Carter, who then went on to say, and I quote, "It definitely played a role in some of the stuff coming out of the media, things that were written for sure," end quote. Again, certainly a hot-button issue, as will everything be with this team all season long, Jalen. But what do you make now of LeBron James's comments?
The most interesting dichotomy in the NBA and the NFL is that the majority of the players are black, yet the paying customer that has the money to be able to afford those tickets and actually attend games, suite holders, corporate sponsors, they're non-black. So there's always a slippery slope between what's success and what's failure in a player's life. Of course, every player wants to win a championship. Of course, every player wants to go undefeated and make the game-winning shot. But a lot of times, they judge how you perform on the floor and take that and try to make your life a failure when you're not living up to certain expectations, as what a lot of people sometimes consider the shut up and play method or the dumb jock theory. And LeBron James broke the mold. When he signed a 3-year contract, he changed the game. Now he put himself in a position, being a star player, to make his own decision. He has his own brand, LR, MR Management. He's creating change beyond just the score of the game, and that makes a lot of people uncomfortable.
You also speak to the traditional employee-employer relationship. It's perhaps an issue of power then that is now in the hands of the league stars, as you mentioned, the majority of whom are black. That being said, do you think the majority of players in the league share James's view?
Of course they do, because they understand what he's going through, what he's dealing with, and they actually live it themselves. It's always tricky trying to be a great athlete, but also managing what comes with that platform. You have media members, you have fans, you have family. So much goes into the stress and the self-esteem of being a professional that a lot of people aren't able to separate the two. So when they see you, it's you had a good game, you had a bad game, you played terrible, you didn't do this, you should have done that. But they don't realize that's only 3 hours of your day. There's still more to be accomplished as a man, as a professional, that a lot of people just don't allow athletes to be. And LeBron James is one of the guys who gets it and has broken the mold. He was a free agent. He could go wherever he wanted to go. If he would have stayed in Cleveland and he would have played there as long as Allen Iverson played in Philly, as long as Kevin Garnett played in Minnesota, or Reggie Miller played in Indiana, he would say he's a two-time MVP. Look at all these big numbers, but yet he doesn't have a ring. He's taking that out of this place because in Miami, he will get a couple of rings.
So you talk about breaking the mold and really perhaps creating a new model. They have remade the NBA from at least a glamour franchise perspective, these big three. And in answering our Mark Stein's question on Media Day this past Monday about whether or not now the remaking of teams with superstars joining forces would be a wave of the future, LeBron James answered very flatly, yes, he does. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And why? It ups the ante for all 30 teams in the league. So now if you're a fan of a team that doesn't make moves in the summer, they can't sell you how this team can possibly win it all. This team can possibly make it to the playoffs. because you're going to look at the Lakers roster, you're going to look at the Heat roster, you're going to look at the Bulls roster. You see what's going on in Orlando, and you say, my team can't compete with them. They can't beat the Celtics. So now it ups the ante for everyone, and I like that. People pay a lot of money for professional sports, and I appreciate the fact when teams are putting quality product out there on the floor of the field.
Today's news of James's comments, of course, just adding to the vacuum that this team, the Miami Heat, currently practicing at Adderall Gym, the building right behind us, has created. It's a vacuum that has all but consumed the Cleveland Cavaliers, the team that James has now left. The last we saw, parts Cleveland and parts northeastern Ohio, James's jersey was being burned in the streets. You wonder what then might rise from the ashes in Cleveland for the Cavaliers. Our George Smith has that story.
There's no LeBron in this building. You know, whether we believe it or not, he's not coming back. You know, this is what we got.
Cavaliers guard Mo Williams with a clear message that there's no point in dwelling on the past and what might have been if LeBron James had stayed in Cleveland.
This the hand we dealt, and you got to play the best you can.
Hopefully everybody on this team sees this as a golden opportunity. There shouldn't be a hangover, to be honest with you. Again, we're just moving forward as an organization.
Moving forward without the face of the franchise and some familiar veterans, and with a new head coach. And the Cavaliers have heard all the outside opinions about low expectations for the season.
No disrespect to LeBron, he's a great player. We all know that. But all of a sudden to be relegated to a team that possibly win 15 games. I coached a team that won 18 games. We didn't have near the talent that we have here right now. So if I'm them and I'm sitting in their seat, I would be a little ticked off about it. And hopefully they can carry that throughout the season.
That'll be added fuel and motivation for the guys that are here that feel like they're capable of winning and playing great basketball.
I think a lot of these guys are handling it the right way, and a lot of these guys want to go out there and prove a lot of people wrong as well.
New head coach Byron Scott had a message for Cavs fans. Be patient with us, he said. This is a different team than the one which led the league in wins in each of the past 2 seasons. Mo Williams added, I would ask every fan to stay with us. We're going to need you more than ever. With the Cavs, George Smith, ESPN.
Thank you, George. And, well, Jalen, they did not just close up shop and just leave the city altogether. They will play basketball as Cavaliers. And taking a look at the projected starting lineup now, obviously Mo Williams going to be asked to carry much more of a load. But ultimately, is there a chance maybe they jump in the battle?
Success starts at the top. The Cavs have a very good owner, one of the top owners in the NBA, Dan Gilbert. They have a very good coach. A coach that's been coach of the year and a champion as a player in Byron Scott. They picked up my choice for most improved player in Ramon Sessions this offseason. He's going to wow people for how good this guy is. They still have Anton Jameson. They still have Mo Williams, Anderson Varejao. Don't be surprised that the Cleveland Cavaliers sneak into the 8th spot and play against the Miami Heat. First round of the Eastern Conference playoffs.
You know, every game that this team is going to play, from its opener less than 4 weeks away now in Boston to that Christmas Day game against the Lakers, is going to feel big. Hard to imagine, though, anything perhaps as big as a game 1 between these 2 teams, the Cavaliers and the Heat, come playoff time. Still months away, and of course we will have it all for you from here to there. Here with the Heat all week long on SportsCenter for Jalen, I'm Josh. Let's take it now back to the studio.